Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Friday Facts. This is number 376, and it looks like it's going to be a good one. I apologize for the last Friday Facts. My window I had too high up, trying to crop it so, it's easier to see everything. So I think I adjusted everything. You can see everything up here. Cool. All right, this one's talking about research and technology. Oh my gosh. Yeah, like I said, this might be a good one. I have not read this at all, so it looks like there's going to be a lot of reading. All right, let's get into it. So this week we talk about some technology and research-related changes coming in 2.0 and the space age expansion. Quality clarifications. Oh, here we go. It was rather interesting to read the reactions to the last Friday Facts about quality. It sparked a lot of debate, and we noticed a lot of misconceptions about it. So we'd like to address some of the biggest ones. Oh, cool. Yeah, I saw a lot of people just freaking out about it. I wasn't going to say anything, but it's like, calm down. I mean, the most important thing is you can turn it off. You don't need to have quality on. I think there's a radio button maybe in the settings when you start the game. Just turn quality off, just like you could turn biters off. They mentioned it, unless I'm mistaken. I remember that they said you don't have to play with quality. So here's all these bullet points. When you don't put quality modules somewhere, everything works as before. So you don't have to sort everything everywhere as some people thought. And I think that was the big conception, is they didn't hear that part. They didn't comprehend that part or whatever. You don't have to put the modules in at all, And then random aspects of the mechanics seem to be very upsetting to a lot of people. I don't understand why, but it's fun. If you've ever played overhaul mods, you'll know that randomness is a part of them a lot. You have a chance to get something, and you're waiting for it, and then when you finally get it, you spin up. Planetons is huge on that with all the creatures. You have to wait for the level 2s and 3s and 4s of these creatures. And it takes a long time. So you're sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting, and then finally you get it. It's fun. It's exciting when you get them, That's why I thought the quality was kind of cool. Now, I have to agree that there is a lot of situations where I hate the randomness in games, but the context really matters greatly. Yeah, it does. For example, I decided to never ever play Settlers of Catan again, as the random dice can decide the winner of the game way too often for my liking. But Factorio case is very different. The reason is, here's these comma splices. Oh my God. The reason is that you rarely depend on the random result, because you hopefully produce a large scale, and the law of large numbers will just transform probabilities into ratios. The more you produce, the more it evens out. Okay. The core of what makes Factorio good is that the horrible huge grind you would need to get all the resources can be mitigated by automation. It's quite similar with quality, as the annoyance of the grind and unpredictability related to randomness in other games can just be pummeled by the sheer output of your factory. All right. The most simple approach is to produce all the ingredients in normal quality. So most of the factory typically produces non-quality stuff and mainly provides research non-quality, and the huge amount of items to be processed by the small quality part. In our playthroughs, the parts of the factory which were dealing with quality were less than 5% of the whole factory, so don't worry about being forced to solve all of the mixed quality items everywhere. Okay. Yeah. The names are the easiest thing to change. Maybe I don't take myself and the game too seriously and found it amusing. But if we had a very good counter proposal which feels good and is clear when it comes to tiers, we can still change it. The fact that there isn't just the one blueprint for circuits, etc., because it depends on the stage of the game and your dedication to quality, is something we see as an improvement. Either you have more blueprints for different stages of the game, or you have to improve more. And mainly, if you want to shoot for the best setups, you can still have the same approach as with beacons, that you build for a legendary setup and just accept that it's just not perfect now, and upgrade it as you get more of the good items, very similar with beacon setups before full tier 3 modules are available. Yeah, I can see that, because blueprint management is a real pain in the rear. You know, I mean, no matter what you do, you have to manage one. Now it's 4 or 5 blueprints for one build, you know, and it's, you know, and you have to chase around, and you have builds over here, over there. It gets kind of monotonous, and it actually takes away from the fun of the game. And in fact, when it comes to like Bob's Angels and Pyanodons, where you have multiple tiers of items, not only that, but the recipe completely changes every time you get a new research. The recipe completely changes. Now, sometimes they use the same back end, you know, to process like ores, for example, but the whole front end changes now. And it's like, I got to rebuild everything now from scratch because the old build was crap or it doesn't fit right. So now I got to rebuild it. And you can't always contemplate what your build's going to be in the future based on how your setups are, you know, how your rail is, all that. So I think the quality concept, it kind of annoys me a little bit in that regard, but I think it's a fun thing to try for those items that you really do want the quality, you know, the epic ones, like the armor, the bots, you know, things like that. Maybe trains, you know, I don't know if trains are epic, but it'd be kind of cool to have epic items, maybe for certain things, but the whole factory you can just leave as vanilla, you know, and have the epic machines take care of the you know, the brunt of the work, but you don't necessarily need to have epic iron plates running through the factory, you know. I use the it's optional argument, but I didn't mean it as an excuse for it's shitty, but it's okay because you don't have to use it. I understand if the mechanics provide an upgrade, you can't say it's optional, or as our gamer optimizer brains are just programmed to progress to better stuff. And it's painful to decide to ignore some better stuff, yeah, just because I don't like the mechanics to get there. This leads to the biggest proverb we always repeat. The best strategy needs to be fun, right? The main part of the optionality was that you decide optionality where and when you want to use it. There are still players who prefer to play without beacons and modules. Yeah, exactly. I get that a lot. Every so often I'll get somebody coming along and, well, beacons, you know, and all this and modules and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I basically use level 1, I guess, level 1, 2, or 3 machines. Just use level 3 machines, no modules. Build your factory that way. And there's an argument for power versus more product. You're going to be, in order to build all those modules and all those beacons, you might as well just build the factory bigger. Some people like a small footprint that works really fast, and some people want a big footprint that works the same speed. I don't think there's any wrong way there. It's just how you want to play at that point, you know. I think modules and beacons add the complexity that some people would like. So some small values in the optionality for these exist as well. Okay. There's still players who prefer to play without beacons and modules. So some small values in the optionality for these still exist as well. Okay, I get it. The last very frequent option was, or opinion, was that it would be better to use the opportunity to introduce a lot of interesting custom recipes to get all the qualities of different items. But avoiding this was the cornerstone of the design. I can only design the game around what I enjoy, and I just don't enjoy having to keep track of a huge number of unique recipes, which all work technically basically the same. You could have eliminated that word. All right, the fact that the most simple approach mostly means using similar blueprint to produce different kind of quality items is generally a goal, as it helps to downscale the time investment needed to progress. Since this was just one of the expansion mechanics, and we want to keep the game reasonable, or game time reasonable, I would compare it to repeating the design of rail intersections. No one is complaining that they can repeat their blueprint in many places because we have blueprints and construction robots to avoid the grind related to building repeated patterns, right? In other words, there is a relatively straightforward way to going through it and get the best items, but the design still allows for some very non-trivial custom setups. And if you want to optimize more and enjoy the theory crafting, easy to learn, harder to master. Overall, the design was driven by our own enjoyment. We play the game and we don't want to bloat it with grindy clutter. I can't expect everyone to enjoy games the same way as I do. It's okay, and I respect that. But I believe that there will be enough players who will enjoy the ride with us. Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting and fun. As you can see, he's got this. Look at this. This is pretty cool. Look, they got a little sorting thing going on here, and they got the epics at the end here. And then you just go and grab the epics. Now, notice how these are lit. So it looks like they're taking the level 1s over a priority here. Or they're waiting for a certain amount before they let them out, I think. What are they doing here? It's going into here. We got modules, and these are modules. Why do they have modules on here? Well, this graphics really slow. Where are the modules coming from? Whoa. Oh, it stopped. Yeah, I don't know where the... Oh, look, you can't module that. That's cool. All right. Well, there it goes again. Okay. All right, this is a simple build to create Assembly Machine 3 in quantity. Or in quality. Assembly... Oh, yeah. If there's more than 100 of any quality, it receives them hoping to get the next tier. The build only receives the basic ingredients from the normal factory. Oh, okay. And all the quality complications remain here. In earlier stages, you'll likely just have a few of these kinds of builds for items you prioritize the most. However, with time, you will likely add more of these, with which some more upcoming features might help you. Oh, there we go. So, okay, they're feeding in. See, I don't see where where's the feed from the factory? Oh, here. Okay, so the normal stuff's coming in, and they're trying to get an epic. And you're not going to, all the time. So here, they're saving the epic, but they're putting the level 1, 2, 3, 4 on the belt to be consumed by the shredder, and they get those items back. Oh, and then they go down here. They got another one down here. Oh, I see. And then they're feeding this back here. Yeah, I'll have to look at that a little more detail, but they got 2 things there. Okay, so discovering new materials. Oh boy. So this is from V. Oh, and V was he's a big proponent against bots in bot building, doing manufacturing with bots. He's a big belt guy. He thinks bots trivialize the game, and I tend to agree with him on that. Although bots are helpful in, like in vanilla, you really don't need bots. But when you get the overhaul mods, you kind of use them here and there, But that's just me. A lot of controversy came from one of his posts. Okay, when it comes to how planets, and especially their unique resources, are discovered, we have realized problems with how Factorio has been doing this for a while now. Oh, interesting. If a planet is unlocked by a technology on some science tier, then starting the resources of that planet would also be gated behind these same science packs. Because what else? You don't have anything else available yet. This would mean that you could, and most typically would, already be researching ways to process the new unique resources that you have not even seen yet. Oh, okay. Another most fundamental conflict was that we wanted the progress of each planet to result in a single new science pack, resulting in a chicken or egg solution. The problem would be the science pack should need most of the new unique process steps on that planet. Therefore, you need to somehow get to discovering the processing first. The alternative, I gotta make this bigger. There, that's better. Okay, I can hardly make this out here. The text is so bright against that background, it gets muddled. Okay, the alternative would be that the science pack is made available immediately on arrival, but then it couldn't really be too interesting, as it wouldn't include any of the processing you would have discovered past that point. The science pack is the primary export for each planet, so in order to prevent planets being just simple mining outposts with a rocket silo, we wanted to make sure most of the processing contributes to produce such science pack. Okay. We have tried to design and implement several approaches in various forms of temporary science packs, and even special entities that would act as temporary laboratories, but all of them were just adding mess that wasn't very useful afterwards, as it was just a stepping stone to get back to to producing a proper science pack that would eventually ship back to the laboratories on your home planet. Trigger technologies. The solution that ticks all the boxes is, in the end, incredibly simple. Yes. Oh my God, the wording on this. We added a new method of researching a technology. Instead of processing science packs in a laboratory, technologies can now be completed with a trigger. Currently, we have a few technology triggers that unlock research. Oh, mining an entity, crafting an item or fluid, launching a rocket with a certain item. This means that each time you land on a planet, you discover and exploit its new resources in a way that feels quite natural, as everything happens while you're actually there. This will make a lot more sense with specific examples once we show you the actual planets and not just this technical background, but there's more. Okay, so I know Nullius has like checkpoints. I played a little bit of it before he came up with them. And yeah, if you do a certain thing, you unlock tech. There's prerequisites to the tech, but you have to do the prerequisites. So it's more of a task list, like Desync is doing that, where they have like you find the blight and it unlocks a tech tree. In Desync, there's this blight cloud. If you just find it, happen along it, oh, here's blight. Now we have a new tech tree. Collect some gas, that kind of thing. So we can apply this elsewhere. As we're sure you remember, there are times even in the base game where you do discover new resources, specifically oil and uranium processing. Just like researching processing for a new resource on a different planet, it's similarly strange for the same reasons that you can research deep into oil refining tech tree while you haven't even seen a crude oil patch yet, or unlocking nuclear reactors without having met uranium. Yeah. So here's a icon here. Research by entity crude oil affects that. Crude oil refining used for manufacturing plastic, silver, and fuels. Okay, start research. Uranium. Yeah, okay, he's showing this. Okay, start research. Now, in order to really get into the oil processing, you will need to have touched some crude oil. This helps prevent the situation where, especially in the green science tier, a lot of players would research very far ahead from what their factory can actually currently process, or what their factory can currently process. And then later feel discouraged seeing all the piled up recipes to work with through. Yeah, and that's true. That's very true. And overhaul mods are really terrible at that. Early game. There's more coming from this. When you crash land on the very first planet, why does the player immediately know how to craft steam engines, inserters, transport belts? It always feels much better in games when your progression starts as low as possible and you can earn all the things in the process, which makes it all feel much more deserved in the end. With the triggers, we could create new technologies for even basic things like pipe, early power generation labs, and the automation science pack. Okay, so here we have steam power, pipes, and all that crap for the power. Oh, so they're lumping it. That's what they're doing. They're lumping it. Let's see what this one was. This is chemical plant, oil processing, solid fuel, uranium processing. And here is electronics. So you get the copper cable, circuit lab, inserter, and the power pole all at once. Okay, I'm down for that. Some unlocks, like electric mining drill, radar, or repair packs, don't need to be available at the very beginning. So in turn, we could add them into their own new red science technology. Ooh, here's the power and the circuit, red science. Here's the repair pack. And then you get inserters really quick. Look at that. Mining prod right away. Yellow belt right away. And then you get the basic automation, defense, lights, military steel processing, looks like. Radar on walls. Okay, I like that. That's pretty cool. Early game technology graph. You can also see, for example, steel axe technology now requires you to craft actual steel plates. Uh-oh. So you can't just get the steel axe upgrade without having the made steel. Oh, you have to make the steel in order to get the axe upgrade. That makes sense. Well, now the steel axe thing goes way back when you used to have, it was a consumable. So every time you hit wood or, whatever, and it would upgrade with tech. And then they completely removed it because people didn't know. New players were like, what is this steel axe thing that we're using like in Minecraft, I guess? Okay, so upgrade without having made steel, which has always been weird since steel axe is no longer a real item, right? As a result, the following will be all of your starting recipes. Getting back to having unlocked all the recipes you were used to at the start doesn't really take extra time than previously. The early trigger technologies only require a minimal amount of items to be crafted, but it still contributes to making the progression feel better. Okay. So this is, I'm trying to figure what this is. What is this? Crafting? Looks like they've done some different stuff here with the crafting. What is that? I'm not too sure what this is. Are they redoing the when you press E on the keyboard, you get your crafting menu to pull up? As will become apparent with more things in future Friday Facts, during the development of the expansion, we have arrived to various topics such as this one, which stretched beyond the acceptable weirdness threshold and had to address it in Space Age. The improvements also impacted the base game in a good way, and we are certain that mods will make good use of this as well. Okay. It's so awesome that they think about the modding community at this stage, even at this stage, you know, they're a year away, and they're thinking about modding. You know, Bethesda, Research Queue, always on, cloning. Research Queue was a feature that was long requested, and after initially adding it, some playtesting of the game with the feature enabled led us to feel that it had some significant drawbacks. After some playtesting and community feedback, we settled on a compromise where the research queue can be enabled with a map setting when starting the game. Yeah, starting the game, right. This was okay, but it came with its own problems. A major source of frustration was when you would start a game, play for a while, only to realize that after a few hours that you or your friend who started the server forgot to enable the research queue. Oh yeah, well, you know, you can turn it on with console commands, you know. There was not an easy way to enable the queue after starting without using console commands, which would have disabled the achievements. Yeah, right, okay. During 1.1 development, we wanted to address the problem with new recipe discoverability a little bit better. So we added the recipe notifications in that Friday Facts. The recipe notifications meant that one of the initial negatives of the research queue for new players in discovering items was no longer present. Oh, okay. Because, see, one at a time, you're actually, you know, like, oh, yeah, instead of queuing, you're actually having to interact with the menu, you know, the research queue or whatever. Over the years, there have also been a fair share of bugs related to the research queue that we had to fix. And having two code paths and GUI layouts in all the places, queue versus no queue, was becoming annoying. In the end, we decided to just completely embrace the research queue, right, and remove all the code related to not having it enabled. So now it's always on and you cannot turn it off. There is no off. Good, about time. There is no longer the strange, after you launch a rocket condition for the queue, and no longer will you ever forgot to enable it before starting the game. Okay, I don't know what he means by this. After you launch the rocket condition. Oh, so the queue, I guess that, yeah, I always have it on, so I don't know what that is. Okay, oh, we're at the end. Here we go. Productivity researches. We wanted to add some more infinite technologies and also reduce the resource pressure as the game goes along. The mining productivity is great and works very well, but it doesn't give the player much choice in the end game, right? Other infinite technologies are more specialized, lots of combat ones, but other than maybe work or robot speed, not much more for your production, right? Okay, so the infinite technologies were combat, but once you get into high enough, you don't need anymore because you can handle the biters at the highest evolution. But the only thing you were left with was robot speed and mining prod, and it's like, well, what fun is that? But you know, you could keep your factory running and kind of increase and, you know, get better, maybe 10,000 science packs. So the goal even got boring. Like, oh, another 20. When's my computer gonna melt? You know. Okay, so now we added a new type of productivity research. Ooh, Rocket control unit productivity 2. Each level will increase the built-in productivity of certain recipes, such as steel processing units. Such as steel processing units, rocket control units, etc. So they're actually kicking the productivity on to the product. And I wonder if they're going to dumb down the mining prod, because this is kind of like additive here. Interesting. We also wanted to let you unlock something super powerful for the end game, which led us to the idea of the research productivity. Each level will increase the built-in productivity of your labs. Oh. As you might know, that's the most effective place for your productivity modules already. It will require the endgame resources. Of which details will come in some future Friday facts. As always, let us know what you think. Whoa! So they're really going crazy with this now. See, this is what I'm talking about. Is, you know, Factorio is fun, but when you get to the end game, it kind of rolls off. What's fun about Factorio is the build up. You know, getting out of beginning game, going to end game. You know, and getting to end game. And a lot of times, you know, you launch the rocket, you're like, okay, I can mega base. There's people out there who want to keep going, build bigger, have more trains run around, test the limits. But then it's like, well, I just want to start over, you know, because there's a lot of things I learned, and I'd like to apply those to a new playthrough. But this kind of keeps it going a little bit with the productivity of items now. I don't know. I guess it just gives you more options for research instead of doing the same research over and over again, the bot speed and the mining prod. And the bot speed becomes just insane. I think I got up to, my highest was 20 at one time. And you basically just leaving the computer running and going to bed, waking up, seeing if anything broke, you know. But so there's no fun in that, you know. Mining prod, yeah, okay. I have the same patch. I'm basically at infinite ore at this point. And I can do train loading, basically miner to train, you know, so you could pull a train onto a patch and just mine direct to train. You don't even need bots and belts anymore, you know. So I think this will add some cool stuff. I'd like to see what they're going to do with it, because it just seems more of like, yeah, I'm researching. You know, you could launch more rockets, that's for sure. It's going to definitely change the end game goals, you know, of, you know, more science packs a minute and stuff. So anyway, let me know what you think down below in the comment section. I'd be interested to see what y'all think. I think they addressed the quality quite well here. Maybe they were a little unclear on it. I understood what they were talking about right out the gate. I thought it was, when I saw it was optional, I didn't need to worry about it. I'm like, cool, it's optional, but I'm going to have it on and I'm going to play with it. But your factory doesn't need to run on it. You know, it's not like you need the epic to do a certain thing in the game. It's just there if you want to get the epic things, and you can focus on, say, solar panels, or you want to get that armor. Okay, let's roll the dice and see if I can get that epic armor. You know, your bots for your hub or whatever. If you're doing bot builds, that's great. You got the bots. I'm curious about belts. I'm still curious about belts. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.